Good morning, seventh grade. Today is Tuesday, May 12th. Congratulations to all the seventh graders and sixth graders who are going to be the head of our houses next year. Good job in the interviews. You guys did really good. It'll be a fun year. This is going to be your last assignment of the year. It's going to be 3 IXL assignments, all right? But this is the last one. I'm not going to assign anything on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. All right, so these 3 that I'm assigning today, they are due before May 22nd, right? That's the last day. So they need to be turned in before May 22nd. The 3 I picked out, I feel are a kind of a summary of what we learned this year and three skills that are very important going into 8th grade. So let me show you what they are. The first one we're going to do right here is dividing mixed numbers. I feel like that's a very important skill. It involves multiplication of fractions, division of fractions, and so let's look at this first one. So we got 3 1/8 divided by 2 7/9. First thing I would do is convert these to improper fractions. So to do that, remember, you take the whole number, multiply it by the bottom number. So 3 times 8 is 24. 24 plus 1 is 25. Okay, so 25 over 8. The denominator stays the same. Okay, so I'm going to keep this the same. 25 over 8 is the same as 3 1/8. I just made it an improper fraction. Okay, so you keep that the same. You change division to multiplication. And then up here, I'm going to write 2 7/9. I'm going to change this into improper again. So 2 times 9 is 18. 18 and 7 is 25. So this becomes 25 over 9, but remember, you need to flip it. So it becomes actually 9 over 25. Okay. Now remember, you can cross cancel. You can only cancel if they're diagonal though. So we see right here that 25 goes into itself one time. 25 goes into itself one time. 9 and 8 do not go into each other, so you can't do anything with those. So now you just multiply from left to right. 1 times 9 is 9. 8 times 1 is 8, and there is your answer. I believe they want it in a mixed number though, so 9 over 8 is really 1 1/8, because 9 goes into 8 one whole time, and then there's 1 left over, so 1 1/8. All right, so let's type in here 1, and I'm going to do 1 space bar, so 1 in space 1/8. Make sure you put that space, otherwise you're doing 11/8. It's very important, right? So there you go. All right, let's look at one more. Let's see if we can go to a harder one. Let's keep going. All right, so we'll look at this one. It's not much harder, but we'll look at it. So we're going to do 1/4, keep that the same, change division to multiplication, and then flip this. So that's 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So this is 3 over 2, but we got to flip it. So 2 over 3. This one you could just multiply left to right. If you wanted to cancel, you could. You can make this 2 goes into itself once, 2 goes into 4 twice. It makes it a little bit easier. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 3 is 6. All right, so your answer is 1/6. Okay. So that is really all you're doing. That's the first skill that I think is extremely important that you know before going in 8th grade. Let's look at the second skill I want you guys to master. Very also important one too, adding and subtracting integers. This is one we kind of struggled with this year. So I really want you guys to practice it before you come into 8th grade. So I'm going to assign it to you guys. So let's look at this now. Okay, so we got 2 minus a -5. So just picture this number line again. Here's our 0. We're starting at +2. Okay, it says subtracting a negative. Remember that. So whenever you see subtracting a negative, whenever you see 2 negative signs right next to each other, they become positives. So really you're saying 2 plus 5, right? Because if you're subtracting a negative, it means you're really going this way. You're going this way plus 5, which is going to get you to 7, okay? So remember that 2 negatives right next to each other is going to be a positive, so we know that's a 7. Let's look at another one. Okay, this one a little bit easier, right? So we just got, if we have our number line, we're starting at 1 right here, and we're subtracting. So when we subtract, we go this way, and we're subtracting 3, right? Which is going to bring us down to a -2, right? So just think, we went 1, 2 would be at -1, and then 1 more, 3 would be at -2. Okay, so -2. Let's go to a harder one. Okay, let's look at this one. So here you got 8. I'm going to write it bigger just so we can see it. 8 minus a -24. Remember what I said. If you have two negatives right next to each other like this, literally you got a negative and then a negative right next to each other, they both become positive. So really you're just doing 8 plus 24, which is 32. Okay. Once again, we'll do another one. Number line, if we start at 7 right here, we are adding a negative. So really that just means you're subtracting, right? So remember that whenever you see adding negative, right, that just means you're really subtracting. Subtract, right? So you're really doing 7 minus 12 is all it is, which means when you subtract, you're going this way. So you're taking 12 away from that. So you're going to have a negative number, right? So, because if you subtracted 7, it would just get you back to 0, but you're subtracting 12. So you go 7, then you go 5 more, right? So it's going to be -5. Okay. And we'll look at a couple more. This one, you just got -92, and you're adding back on that 92. So that one's easy. You know it's 0. Okay, let's look at this one. Draw my number line. Oops. Why that thing keeps popping up. Yeah, I get that out of the way real quick. So I'm going to draw my number line. Starting at -2, so right here. Okay, I'm subtracting 14. So again, if you're subtracting, you're going this way. So I'm going this way 14 times, right? Which is going to bring me all the way down here to a -16, right? -16. Okay, that is the second skill that I think is extremely important. You need to know that before you come into 8th grade. Let's look at the third skill I want you to complete by the end of the year. And that is going to be, let's see, which one was it? It was, oh, I forgot. Let's see, here it is. Solve 2-step equations. So I'm going to assign this one to you guys. Let's take a look at these. This will get you into pre-algebra, which we're going to start 8th grade, a little bit of algebra 1, right? So the whole point of these problems, remember, is to get the variable all by itself. So this is what we get, okay? We need to get, remember, this m, we need to get it so it's all by itself on one side of the equation. That is what we're trying to do, okay? In order to do that, we need to do some inverses. Remember, inverses are the opposite of what's already happening. So let's look. We got 5 plus 2m equals 9. First thing I'm going to do is move this 5 over. So to get rid of this 5, I need to do the opposite of this positive 5, which is subtract 5. I also have to do it to this side. Whatever you do to one side, you must do it to the other. Okay, so that's going to take out those. All I'm left with now is 2m equals 4. 9 minus 5 is 4. Okay, Right now, this says 2 times m equals 4. I need to do the opposite of times, right? Opposite of multiplication, which I need to divide by 2. I did it on this side, which means I have to do it on this side. When I do that, these 2's cancel out, and you are just left with m now, all by itself, exactly what you're looking for. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we know that m is going to equal 2. Okay, let's look at a harder one. Okay, let's look at this one. So I'm going to write it bigger so we can see it better. 2 equals p divided by 4 minus 1. Again, I got to get p all by itself. First thing I'm going to do is just get rid of this 1 by adding it, because it's a subtracting 1, so I need to add it. I have to do it to that side, okay? This cancels those out. 2 plus 1 is 3. So now I got 3 equals p divided by 4. P is being divided by 4. So we need to do the opposite of dividing, multiplying. So we need to multiply by 4. I have to do the same thing on this side though. Okay, when I do that, these cancel out. 4 times 3 is 12. And I have P all by itself. So it's telling you that 12 equals P. Okay. That is pretty much it. Let's see if I can find one more hard one for us. Okay, we'll finish off with this one. Okay, so we have 31 equals 103 minus 4 times n. Okay. First thing we need to do, this is a positive 103, so we need to do the opposite of a positive. We need to subtract 103. I'm going to subtract 103. Okay, so I have 31 minus 103. Remember, you got 31 minus 103, which means if you're looking at a number line, let's say 31's right here, I am subtracting, so I'm going this way, 103. So it's going to be a big negative number, right? If you just flip this and do 103 minus 31, you get 2, that becomes a 0. 10 minus 3 is 7, and then put your negative number back on. So you know it's negative 72 equals, these canceled out, negative 4 times n. Okay, we have negative 4 times n. We need to do the opposite of multiplication, so we need to divide each side by a negative 4. Okay, it has to be the exact same. Same thing on this side. You have to do that by negative 4. Okay, now we just have negative 72. I'm going to write it over here. Negative 72 divided by negative 4. 4 goes into 7 only one time. 4 goes into 32 8 times. And since it's 2 negatives, it is a positive. When you divide a negative by a negative, you have a positive number. Okay, so 18, and the 4's cancel out. So you have n equals 18. Okay. There you go. All right, those are, I would say, the three very important skills you need to know before you come into 8th grade. We'll do one more because I just want to show you this one. This is using the distributive property, right? So if you have negative 15b plus 118 equals 315. When I say distributive property, that means you need to take this number outside of the parentheses and distribute it inside of this parentheses. Remember, when you have a number right up against a parentheses, it means you're multiplying. So you need to take this negative 15, you need to multiply it by this b, you need to multiply it by 118. Okay, so if we do that, we get negative 15 times b. Okay, you got a negative and a positive, which is going to be a negative. Negative 15 times 118. So if you do this over here, 118 times 15, your answer is going to be negative. You got 8 times 5 is 40. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 is 9. And then 5 times 1 is 5. Add your placeholder. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 0, 17, 6, 7. So we got 1770 equals 315, right? Got to get B all by itself, so we need to do the opposite of this negative 1770. We need to add 1770, which means I need to add 1770. These cancel out. I am left with negative 15B equals, if I add these together, you get 5, 8, 10, 2085. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite it over here. You got negative 15B equals 2085. Okay, negative 15 times B, so I got to do the opposite of times, which is division. The negative 15s cancel out. 2085, so if I have 2085 divided by 15, and it's going to be a negative, right? 15 goes into 20, we know one time. Bring down your 8. 15 goes into 58, we know 3 times, which is 45. Bring down your 5. 15 goes into 135. Well, let's think about it. So 15 times, if we go up here, I'm just going to write this 15 times. Let's try 7, see what that is. Guess and check. 5 times 7 is 35. That's 7, so that's 105. So it's going to go more than that. Let's try 15 times 9. 5 times 9 is 45. 9 and 4 is 135. So there we go. So we know it's 9. Okay. It's a negative answer too, because we got a negative and a positive, right? So that means it has to be a negative 139. Okay. So if we divide then, like I said, by negative 15, those cancel. Divide that by negative 15, we get B equals a negative 139. All right. Watch this video as many times as you need. Those are the skills that are going to be the most important going into 8th grade. Again, these are not due until May 22nd, but this is your last assignment, these 3 skills. Also, make sure you turn in all of your missing assignments. I'd hate to give you guys zeros for assignments that you haven't done. And please go back and watch the videos. They're so easy to watch and you get 5 points, all right? Some of you are getting 10s out of 15s, which means you're getting 100 on the IXLs, but you're not going back and watching the video, so you're not getting the 5 points. Please go do that. May 22nd is when I need all these assignments in. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a good day.